When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
It is picked up by the line, coming back right side, 25. Picks up a block at the 30, to the 40.
Drink it in, drink it in. Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Rolls to the right, Stafford throws deep, got a man out there, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions, Marvin Jones.
Drink it in, drink it in.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread.
Drink it in, drink it in, drink it in, man.
Detroit Koolaid drinkers, what is going on, everybody? We are back here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. It is draft week. You're probably hearing this on Wednesday morning, and we are just a day or two away from the start of the draft, depending on when you're listening. It is an exciting week. There's a lot of craziness going on in the world, as well as with this draft, with it being virtual. But we got a jam-packed show. We're going to talk news and notes. You're going to get my personal prospect rankings and Grifka's thoughts on those. We're going to do a 7-round mock with me and Grifka as the co-Lions GM, where we'll make alternating picks, and I'm sure there will be some heated arguments within that. At the end, you will get a Okrie first-round mock for all 32 teams, where I'll give you the team and the player and a little bit of why, and some other things on this show as well. So without further ado, Grifka, I don't think I give you sometimes the best intro. We have some fun gimmicks and stuff we do, but I thought I'd give you just a proper introduction today, Grifka. So I'd like to introduce the VP and player personnel director of Lazy Boy Scouting, a.k.a. the Waffle Maker, Baker Mayfield Hater, the Rockyasin Lover, a.k.a. Detroit Lions Eeyore. He's the Wonderlick Wonder. He's the king of all gimmicks. You know who he is. Grifka, the one and only. How are you, buddy?
Doing much better after that awesome introduction that you just gave me. I mean, I just want to tell the people it took a lot of hard work to get, up to VP of Lazy Boy of Scout, so it does take a lot of hard work, more determined than what you think it'd be. But, pretty excited to see how this draft is going to go with it being all virtual and stuff like that, Wonder how many, if they're supposed to be at, like, Roger Goodell's basement. I wonder if he has a man cave. It's going to be like one of those fake backgrounds where it's supposed to look like the outside, or or sit in front of a pool table or something like that.
Grifka, I got a question for you. With Lazy Boy Scouting being the top guy there, have you graduated from the 3x5 index card worth of he sucks or he's good to maybe like an 8.5 by 11 sheet this year?
No, man. You always go with what got you there. You don't upgrade when it comes to 3x5.
So
especially
like
3x5 with like the college rule ones, not with the fat lines. You need the thin lines to get more information on them.
So what got you there? You mean complete laziness and an absolute lack of work, but also watching a lot of Saturday football?
Of course. Until they move
right.
to the spring, then I'll watch something else.
All right. Well, Grifka, like I say, I'm excited. This is going to be a big-time fun show. Let's get right into it. News and notes off the top. So one thing I wanted to get your quick opinion on, I'm getting a lot of, hearing a lot of things that Derek Brown is really the guy that the Lions really like. I mean, big interior player, pushes the pocket, also can stop the run. Pretty dominant guy at the college level in the SEC. He's a guy that was talked about a lot early and then faded. Now I feel like he's coming back. would you be okay with him at 3 if they trade down? Does he become, more of a palatable option? Are you a corner guy over a guy like Derek Brown? Like, talk it through for a minute.
Derek Brown, when he first came out, I was reading all this stuff, and people were saying he's like a better prospect than what Ndamukong Suh was, and that kind of left me scratching my head. I don't know who was trying to justify that, but then, like you said, he kind of really fell off. Even like some of the scouts were, he was still like, top level first round, but he had kind of fallen down to like, 10, 11, 12 range, as opposed to like that top 3, 4 pick that people were saying that he was worth. And I'm not quite for sure where all this pubs come back up again, where, the Lions are going to look to him simply because, Bob Quinn made some statements. I mean, I realize he said statements, but he does throw out some smoke screens there. I'd be okay if they like traded back and got him if it fell that way. If it was one of those things where they took their chances, and it's like if we trade back and we get Okudah, say at 6 or something, and it doesn't work that way, and somebody else takes Okudah and they got Derek Brown that way. Now, if both players are sitting there, I would much rather have Okudah than Derek Brown.
Good stuff there, Grifka. I gotta catch up. I was sleeping at the wheel a little bit. Here's a little something for that. I'm not quite for sure. I mean, I agree with you. I've grown to like Okudah, but I'm as I've been hearing all this stuff, I'm really thinking that don't sleep on Derek Brown as a football player, as well as if they go back to 5, 6, even past that, of him being a really nice option for the Lions as a guy that can do a lot of things. I mean, if I'm going to pick and I can either have a big nasty or a outside corner, I'm going to first take the big nasty, and I'm still going to get a good corner in this draft, either in the 2nd or 3rd round. So it's going to be interesting how Bobby Quinn pieces that together. Let's keep the news and notes going, Grifka. We've got trades. We've talked a lot about them. We are only a day or two away. Bob Quinn continues to do his rhetoric about he's talked to a lot of teams. He's going to see what happens. He said he's not going to make a deal on the clock. It's going to have to be done ahead of time. I mean, do you think Bob Quinn's actually going to get a trade done? Or are we going to be sitting here after the draft thinking that he somewhat reached for a player at 3 instead of trading down a few spots and hopefully picking up a really top asset, whether it be in the 2nd or 3rd round?
I think he's going to stand pat. Read some things today that he hasn't been wowed with any offers so far. And I think it's just part of that, I don't know if it's like I don't want to say smoke screen put out there by San Diego, where they're more interested in Justin Herbert. Now Miami's like, oh, we're more interested in Justin Herbert because nobody can get in front of Tua Tagovailoa to see him if it's how his hip really is. So I don't think Detroit's going to take a trade just to make a trade, and it sounds like people aren't offering, or other teams aren't offering maybe what they're asking for. Not quite for sure what the asking price is to jump up to number 3, but I think Bob Quinn would definitely like to take a few more picks. But if he's not getting wowed, it sounds like a lot. Maybe like take a late 1st round and maybe like a 4th or 5th, and Detroit has to throw in one of their late round picks as well. But I think they're going to stand pat at 3 right now.
All right, Grifko, this is an Okrie rant coming right now because I'm so sick of hearing, oh, if he's not wowed. Like, you're going from 3 to like 6, it's 3 spots. Like, I would take a damn 3rd rounder to move down 3 spots. The rumor and innuendo is you can go from 3 to 6 and pick up 37 overall. Like, that's incredible. Like, Bob Quinn, you freaking get that done. You like, it's so annoying to me that even you just said, oh, well, you might not get another 1st rounder, and this, like, we don't need another 1st rounder unless we're going into the teens, and even then I'm still negotiable. Like, I just hate these NFL GMs holding people up for ransom, even people on Twitter. Oh, you can't go past 7. We'll miss out on everybody. No, you won't. You're going to pick up more assets. You're going to be a better football team. Oh, we can't give up the 3rd pick without getting multiple future firsts. What? Why? Like, oh, man, I'm so frustrated with the way the guy just sits there and acts like it's so valuable. I guess it depends on what other
picks you're getting. I mean, if you're getting a 2nd or something like that, I guess it depends on where in the 2nd you would be getting it. I mean, there's still plenty of good players in the 2nd. But one of the things I was listening to your Believe cast, and Logan brought up a good point. You guys were talking about you brought a number of trade scenarios out there, and one you brought up was New England, and like you said, New England probably just doesn't have enough, capital right now to make that trade. Which I would be pretty disappointed if Detroit, flip spots with New England, and New England, here, take another third for us or something like that. And I think that wouldn't be worth it, but that's just me. So you may feel different.
Yeah, I do feel different, Grifka, because first of all, that's Believe in Lions. It drops on Monday mornings, BLEAV, a great podcast along with this amazing show here, the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Thank you for the cheap plug. But of course I disagree because you don't listen to me. I said if you're going from 3 to 6, I'm taking anywhere from an upper second to any pick in the third round, and I'm loving it. If I'm going to New England at 23, no, I'm not going to take like just a third and a fourth and that's it. Like then you pony up more, but I don't hold you up for ransom and say, oh, if you want to come from 23 to 3, it's going to cost you 4 first-round picks in the next 2 years. Like, no, I'm going to be willing to negotiate, but obviously the farther I go down the board, the price points go up a little bit. I'm just ranting and raving about these little trades, 3 to 5, 3 to 6. Oh my gosh. If you went from 3 to 12, people act like, man, I don't know, we wouldn't get value. You might go from 3 to 12 and also pick up 19. You're telling me that's not value? You're going to walk away with 2 incredible.
Trade. I would take that.
Yeah,
I would take that trade.
Yeah, but you're the king of there's this drop off at 5, there's this drop off at 9. And like, I'm trying to tell people online that if you look at the big scope of things, not only is there not a big drop-off, the problem is these GMs act like they can't move unless they get the world's perfect trade where they get everything they want and the other guy just gets, that draft pick. And that's not how I would operate, man. I'd be much more flexible because moving down a couple spots when you don't want a quarterback and you've got 4 other players you like is not a huge deal, and to pick up another top asset is totally great. So end of rant from me, but that's where we differ. Like, yeah, if you're going down to New England, we need some extra juice to make that happen, but it's not off the table for me.
I just have a quick question. I'm just looking for a quick answer on this one. You always hear like there's that level of GM that they always say like, well, you're not going to get it if you don't ask. And they're always like asking for the moon. So a lot of teams don't want to deal with them. Do you think Bob Quinn is maybe one of those GMs? I don't think so based on some of the trades he's made. But what's your opinion on that?
No, I don't think he's an ask for the moon guy. I think he's just like most of them, drag it out as long as possible. And then sometimes he gets stuck holding the bag where people are like, forget it, and at the last minute, and then he's just like, all right, well, with third pick, the Detroit Lions select Jeffrey Okudah, like that's what I think happens to him is he just kind of plays the old hardball or the waiting game, and then time runs out. It's just like, oh, I guess I got to make a pick now. And that's where you have to be, you can ask for the moon in 4 months ago, but a day or two away, let's actually make something happen rather than just talk about it. So anyway, we'll see what happens. It'll be big. We got one more news and notes we got to get through here quickly, Grifka. You probably didn't even see this, but it came out today as we're recording. Bob Quinn was on ESPN, NFL Live, I believe it was. Did a better interview, much better than the Zoom session I watched with him and the reporters where he looked like a blob with his head 10 times bigger than his body, horrible background, looked like he hadn't combed his hair in about 5 weeks. I mean, this one, he was actually looked like he took a shower. He had a better background. He looked professional. And he actually, like Adam Schefter asked him, and he just turned his dang camera around and showed his whole draft room, which to me, I mean, I'm unsure. I know I put it out to you and a few of my buddies that got to look at the DTO scouting office I've got here at the house where I'm all set up, ready to go. I mean, I pretty much put Bob Quinn to shame, but he's got a couple computers, a couple phones. Any thoughts on the fact that these millionaires, multi-millionaire NFL GMs, the top guy for these NFL teams, basically half of them don't know how to work a computer, can't work Zoom, don't know anything about technology, don't have a home office at all. Like it makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not the most tech-savvy guy, as you have often told me. But
Yes.
There are basic things I know how to do, like mute my computer when I'm on a conference call with a whole bunch of people. And when you hear that about the mock draft, when they all got on there, nobody knew how to mute their computer. So it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that just doesn't make any sense to me. You figure the Lions would put some, they go in there and it's like, here, you need this, this, and this, and some, tech guy straight out of college, just like, okay, now mute your computer, do this. If you need to contact, somebody, hit this button here. It's kind of funny how, these guys run, corporations can, put a football team together, but you're right, they don't know how to like reboot a computer.
Dave Gettleman for the New York Giants had a 3-ring binder the size of I don't even know what. I mean, you could have put 6 gigantic novels in this binder, and he has one laptop sitting at a desk, and that's it. Like, really, that's what you're going to get through your draft with? Bob Quinn had a draft board. Go back and look at this, Lions fans. Go on YouTube. Just put in Bob Quinn. It'll pop up towards the top. Watch it when he turns his camera around. He has you have a few computers, whatever it is. He has this thing, he says, oh, there's one of my draft boards. I turned it around so you can't see it. I mean, he might have like 60 names on this, if that. And he's like, I got a couple of these grease boards. He's got a couple of dry erase boards. That's how he's going to figure things out. Like, that makes me worry, I got to say. Like, that tells me that you've whittled the draft down to very minimal selection of players, as he normally does, where he falls in love with people and just takes them because. And, you can't do it that way, man. You got to be much better, much more expansive. It just kind of was a big issue to see a lot of these setups, and like you said, just to know that, basically do it better for my home, or the fact that, these guys aren't prepared. Like, okay, you're at the office a lot. Really? You don't come home and have a nice little setup where you can actually get some work done? You just only work at the facility? Like, that doesn't sound like a CEO or $1 million, top executive to me, but I've just been blown away by the setup. So anyway, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think there's going to be some issues with this draft. I think that Bob Quinn hopefully will be able to make the trade like we talked about moments ago, and then also, still be able to do some damage in this draft, even though it's completely different from home and whatnot. I've got my concerns that he might just stick and pick and might have his limited draft list and might go with that, since he's out of his element with this whole virtual draft. But we will see what happens. Grifka, let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll breeze through the rankings, and then we'll get into our 7-round mock and finish up the show. So, sound good to you?
Yeah, sounds like a great plan.
All right, everybody, take a quick break for our sponsors. We'll be right back. Detroit Koolaid drinkers, we are back from the break. Fun podcast today. It's draft week. We got lots to talk about, and me and Grifka are going to get into a live 7-round mock draft on the Draft Network. But first, I want to give you my prospect ranking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read these names off just until I get to guys that I think are a little bit more inconsequential, just so you can kind of hear my top 8, 10 players, whatever it is. If Grifka has a huge issue, he'll let me know. Otherwise, you know what he does on the show. He'll agree with me because, Grifka, let's start at the quarterback position just because that's the top of my list and that's what runs the NFL. I've got Burrow, Tagovailoa, Jordan Love, Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Jacob Eason, Jake Fromm, Anthony Gordon, and then the rest after that. Any big issues with that list?
No, I would have to go with that right now. Sounds like a good plan right there, which I have laid out.
The big one that people might notice is I do have Jordan Love third. I feel like this guy's an incredible thrower of the football. I think he's got a lot of upside, so I actually did put him above Justin Herbert because I feel like Justin Herbert is a Joey Harrington type clone. He's got all the talent. He can throw it all over the yard. He's smart, but he's an Oregon boy that's just going to come in the league and make a few plays here or there, but it's not going to be a top talent. Running backs, Grifka. I've got DeAndre Swift up top. I've got Jonathan Taylor at number 2. J.K. Dobbins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Cam Akers, Zach Moss, Anthony McFarland, A.J. Dillon, and then it kind of shakes out after that. My sleeper, it's a little bit down, is Sio Alanalua of TCU, big old nasty body there, and a few other interesting guys in that mix as well. Anything jump out to you there?
I know at one point I liked Taylor the most, but he had a lot of wear on the tires up at Wisconsin where Georgia split their running back carry, so I like the way you flipped them. I have to agree with you on that.
I had a really interesting mock with the Draft Network has a premium Slack chat, so all these guys that are draft nerds are on there, and they're doing these live mocks, 3-rounders. and I was actually able to get DeAndre Swift. I think it was very, very late in the second round. I actually moved up with some assets that we required in that and got DeAndre Swift late in the second. I feel like I don't see it happening, but I feel like he's kind of the perfect guy for the Lions. He shared the load at Georgia. He can catch, he can run, he's got wiggle, and you could still combo him with Carry On and other running backs and really do some damage. Let's move to the tackles, Grifka. I've got Mekhi Becton up top, big 340-plus pound beast. I got Jedrick Wills from Alabama. After that, I got Wirfs from Iowa, Andrew Thomas, Josh Jones, Isaiah Wilson, Austin Jackson, Ezra Cleveland, Prince Tega Winogu. That pretty much rounds out my tackles. Anything jump out or any comment?
I like Wirfs. I think he's going to be the most versatile of those linemen right there. But Becton, I don't think the positive test result or whatever, that's going to affect his draft status at all.
You don't or you do?
I do not.
Okay. The two sleepers for me are Isaiah Wilson and Ezra Cleveland. Keep those names on your brain. Move over to the interior lineman position. We got Muti, we've got Lewis, I got Robert Hunt, Jonah Jackson, Ben Bredesen, Grifka's boy, and then it shakes out after that. Matt Perth is in there as well as an interesting prospect, and the other Michigan boy, Ameniu. I'm not sure if that's exactly how you say it, but and then we got Grifka's boy Logan Stenberg is down at the bottom of my list as well. Anything there, Grifka? I know you love yourself some interior linemen. That's why you did a whole 40-minute podcast on them.
Well, the Lions need them, and you really, after you were talking about Jonah Jackson so much, I did go back and watch some more of his video, and he's starting to impress me more. I mean, I can see where you guys were talking about his buzz has come up lately where, he could maybe slip up into the second round. So,
yeah, I'd be curious to see where he goes. I'd love to wait it out and get him, in that third or even later round value, but it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. Let's move to the receivers, Grifsky. I've got CeeDee Lamb up top. I got Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Denzel Mims, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, another name for a lot of Lions fans to keep an eye on, T. Higgins, KJ Hamler, Jalen Reagor, Laviska Shenault. He's been hurt by injury. Some people love him. Some people don't like his game. Chase Claypool, who I've always supported. You got DPJ, and look at this. I've probably named off a ton of receivers. I still got a whole second list, Griffin. I'm reading these as well. Michael Pittman Jr., Van Jefferson, KJ Hill, Tyler Johnson out of Minnesota, my guy, Devin Duvernay. We got Courtney Davis. We got Brian Edwards, ya boy. We got Antonio Gandy Golden, Hughes' boy from Liberty. We've got Colin Johnson. We've got Isaiah Hodges, Juwan Jennings from Tennessee. Whew, Grifka, I'm out of breath. A lot of receivers in this draft.
Yeah, I really like Brandon Ayuk. I don't think he's the best, but I think he's going to go late first round.
It'll be interesting. I mean, a lot of people have Lions taking him in this early second. I think you can wait on receivers based on all those names I listed, but we'll see what they do. Move over to the center position. Sometimes it's hard interior lineman center. I only have a few here. I got Ruiz up top. Cushenberry, I think you can flip those guys either way you want. Nick Harris out of Washington. Matt Hennessy out of Temple. And then Tyler Biadasz out of Wisconsin are kind of my centers there.
Yeah, I think Ruiz, it might be one of those things where he gets drafted and plays guard and then moves to center, second or third year.
Let's move over to the tight end position. We got Hopkins out of Purdue. I've got Hunter Bryant out of Washington. We've got Cole Kmet, Mel Kiper's boy out of Notre Dame. Adam Troutman from one of my former residences in Dayton, Ohio. We've got Thaddeus Moss, Randy's boy. We've got literally Randy's boy. We've got Jared Pickney of Vanderbilt. We've got Harrison Bryant of Florida Atlantic. Albert O of Missouri. Cody Parkinson out of Stanford. That's pretty much where it kind of shakes out for me. I mean, very weak tight end class. You know, the Lions, again, were smart to take a tight end, Grifka. His name is TJ Hawkinson last year, and now they don't have to worry about it because it's a horrible class. I don't see any of those guys maybe even going in the first or even mid-second round.
Yeah, there's none of those guys. The only one I may be interested in simply because he's Randy's boy, and that's Thaddeus Moss. Maybe get an opportunity to see Randy at a football game. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, the old lazy boy scouting. That makes sense on the Grifka sense of why you
Don't
draft
act like
the guy.
if you didn't bump into Randy Moss. Don't act like if you didn't bump into Randy Moss, you wouldn't enjoy that.
Oh man, that'd be crazy. So let's move over to defense here. We start with the defensive ends, kind of like the most premier position. We got Chase Young up top, Chase on from LSU after him, AJ Epineza, Uter Gross Matos out of Penn State, Zach Bond, kind of a edge / off the ball linebacker rush guy out of Wisconsin, Curtis Weaver, Boise State. I'm taking a liking to him. He's a name Lions fans should know. Josh Uche out of Michigan, another name to keep an eye on. Julian Okwara, people are hot and cold on. Terrell Lewis, Bradley Anai, Darrell Taylor, and Jonathan Greenyard.
I like Chase on, and I like where you have him at number 2. I know was it half the year he was injured at LSU, but he really came on, showed some stuff later in the year. So I like where you have him.
So you agree?
I agree with you.
I like the player. I just don't know if the Lions would absolutely hate him because of he's smaller, 6'4", 250. He's got juice, but would he fit in the scheme? As you know, we talk about all the time. We'll see what happens. Epineza too. If he's in the second round, do you take him and will he be a baller for a team like Detroit, or will he be a guy in like a couple of years you're looking at it with like that Anthony Zetto quality? We're like, yeah, he works hard and yeah, he's kind of got the body build, but he's just not athletic enough. I think, Epineza is a much better player than Zetto, but I'm just saying, could it be that where they take him for the fit and he's just not explosive enough to be a big-time player? We'll see what happens. Defensive tackles, Grisky. We got Derek Brown, Javon Kinlaw, Ross Blacklock, Neville Gallimore, Justin Matabuke. We got Roquan Davis, the big kid out of Alabama. We've got Jordan Elliott out of Mizzou. We got Eric Schlitz, sleeper of the draft, Telvin Agim out of Arkansas. We've got my guy, Liki Fotu, just because of his hair, and he's just a big, nasty person in the middle. Put him and Shelton in there. That might be crazy. Devon Hamilton out of Ohio State. Jason Strobridge can be a interior guy. And that's about it.
I kind of want to get Leaky Fotu just so I can say his name when we're at training camp.
Got to put him on the Grifka all-name team, no doubt about it, right next to Rocky Sin. So linebackers are a little bit tough. Linebackers, sometimes I don't always know if these guys classify outside, inside. It's kind of hard these days. So I just made 2 lists. One is sort of more the bigger middle guys you'd think of, and then the other one's a little bit more the lighter, bendier guys. So, I got Patrick Queen. I've got Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma. Jordan Brooks, a good player out of Texas Tech. I've got Malik Harrison, Ohio State. Evan Weaver, California. And then it works down from that. I put Joe Vacci on my list from Michigan State, my arch rival squad, but I've been hearing some late buzz that teams sort of like him higher than most draft people thought, and he could go there. So that's kind of my list there. The guys that are more bendy, more outside, I put Isaiah Simmons in kind of that bucket. I've got Troy Dye, a guy that I think sort of been forgotten about. He's a senior, 6'4", 225 out of Oregon. He's got some game. Akeem Davis Gaither is a small player, only 6'2", 219, if that, but a tackling machine out of Appy State. And then you've got Jacob Phillips out of LSU, and I put Shaq Quarterman on my list too, just because he's kind of a run-and-hit, nasty football player.
Yeah, there's a lot of linebackers out there, but the Lions won't take one probably till real late, considering all the signings they had.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. I think they're going to pass on a lot of players that are good players just because they loaded up so much and because their scheme, that hopefully they don't miss out there. All right, we got a couple more. Let's get down to corners. Cornerbacks, Jeffrey Okudah, C.J. Henderson. We've got Christian Fulton out of LSU. Terrell out of Clemson, Gladney out of TCU, Jalen Johnson, who should probably be a few spots higher based on what I've heard recently, out of Utah, Diggs out of Alabama, Arnett out of Ohio State, Igbenogany out of Auburn, Dantzler from Mississippi State, Troy Pride from Notre Dame. We've got Bryce Hall, and then Darnay Holmes, one of the swaggiest players in the draft. Those are my corners. Lots of corners. To me, corners and receivers are still the spots that are most loaded to some degree in this draft.
I like Arnett. I don't think he gets a lot of pubs simply because of Okudah. I think he just kind of gets overshadowed, but I think Arnett could have a good pro career.
Yeah, we'll see. He was like a guy I started to like here late in the process, but you also look in the guy, at least at the combine, running almost a 4.6. You know how that happens when we took a guy that ran 4.7. You know, it can kill you. So, you know, would he have run better at his pro day? Probably, because Ohio State, you know, probably takes a whole second off. You know, the way they clock things down there and the way they do business. But, you know, if you can't run, you can't run. So I think he can still make plays, but the speed is a little bit of an issue for me with him. Let's finish up with safeties, Grifka. Again, these are a little tricky too, of who's a single high, who's a box guy, whatever. But I got them stacked: McKinney from Alabama, Delpit, LSU, Winfield Jr., Minnesota. Grifka, you might as well just pencil this guy in for you already on our mock draft. His name is Jeremy Chin from Southern Illinois. You know you love it. Kyle Duggar from Lenoir-Rhyne, which if you listen to Believe in Lions, Grifka, you figured out that Lenoir-Rhyne is somewhere in North Carolina. Who knew? Ashton Davis, safety out of California. And then sort of works his way down from there. So, you know, some decent safeties, but again, another position I don't know that we'll necessarily go after.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to make a lot of a dent at safety, but I mean, they're out there. They could draft one.
So basically, you're not quite
for sure on that.
Absolutely, man. Glad we worked through those, and let's go ahead and get into our mock draft now. I've got let me load this up here. We are using the Draft Network. Great website if you guys haven't been there. Makes mock drafts really easy. Grifka actually did one on his own, so you know it's not hard to do. And like I say, let's just work through. Let's go ahead and load this up. Grifka, we're gonna do this way. So we're gonna do 7 rounds. We got it on fast here. We're just gonna pick for the Lions. We can make trades. The way it's gonna happen is you're gonna be the top GM here in the first round. I'll be the top GM in the second. You in the third. You'll give your thoughts and opinions. I'll give mine. We'll try to agree. We'll probably disagree. And at the end of the day, we'll make the pick for the Lions. So sound like a plan?
Yeah, this sounds good.
All right. So I got the draft loaded up. I'm going to give Grifka a look here on his end so he can see what we're doing. And we're going to go ahead and, Grifka, can you see that over there on your end?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to you can tell me different positions and whatnot, and I'll try to maneuver it around for you. But we're going to go ahead and start the draft. Remember, you can trade. So you started the draft. Joe Burrow goes. Chase Young goes. So it's nice and chalk there at the top of the draft. Grifka, I hate to say this. It scares the daylights out of me. But you are the Detroit Lions GM. Talk us through what you're thinking. Do you want to make a deal? Do you want to sit and pick? What are you doing here?
I'm gonna go with I'm not liking what I'm hearing. I would if it was me, I'd really like Isaiah Simmons, but I think what they're gonna do, what they've said, I think they're gonna go with Jeff Okudah. So I'm taking Jeff Okudah.
All right, I'm glad you're doing that because we're fighting right away. Grifka, this is where you use your brain and we make a trade down. We call up the Los Angeles Chargers at pick 6 and we ask for their 2nd rounder and a 5th rounder, and we go ahead and get this deal done. Like, even if we miss out on Okudah, that's what's going to help our football team, not taking the lazy boy scouting route, sitting back, putting our feet up in our chair and just turning in the draft pick. Let's try to make a trade here.
Okay. So
All right, that wasn't hard. All right, so here we're loading up a trade because I can't deal with you right now. We gotta put in some work here and get some things done for our football teams. You weren't hard to convince, but let's go ahead and make this trade. So I'm gonna jump in here on the Draft Network, go up to trade because I'm a premium member and we can make some trades. We're gonna call up the Chargers and we're gonna offer them pick number 3. We want pick number 6. We want 37, and we want their pick in the 5th round as well. Let's see if they do that. We'll go ahead and propose this. I think we can still get this done and help our football team a little bit more. So go ahead and hit this. They're thinking about it. They're pondering it. Boom! Done, Grifka. Instead of just taking Jeffrey Okudah at 3, we now have the 6th selection. We have a top 2nd rounder and a bonus 5th, which gives us 3 5th-round picks. I mean, is that better or not? Come on, even you know that's a better deal than just turning in the card because you didn't want to make a phone call.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that, but I think you watched the movie Draft Day way too much with Kevin Costner. Like, trades are just flying around there like it's like an NBA draft.
Well, hey, it doesn't matter. So, for some reason, the Chargers traded up to 3, and they didn't take the quarterback. They took Jeffrey Okudah in this instance. We've got Isaiah Simmons that went 4, so 2 of the Lions' targets off the board, as well as Tua Tagovailoa, who I know you wanted, Grifka, who a guy I've sort of still said, hey, don't be surprised if the Lions still consider that and pull the ultimate okie doke. So now we're here at 6, but 2 of our main targets are off the board. It's still your main selection. Now you've got to reconsider who are you thinking now based on who's on the board, and then I will obviously counter that and probably argue with you.
See, as you mentioned in earlier shows, if there was a fall down and Okudah was gone, I mean, I would be okay with Derek Brown here. So I would take Derek Brown.
All right, so Grifka would take Derek Brown. Grifka, I want to throw out one curveball here saying that I could see the Lions at 6, again, doing something no one has talked about and considering Jedrick Wills or even Tristan Wirfs at this selection. I feel like those guys have versatility. They can plug and play on the right side, could figure out what you want to do with Hal Vaitai. So that'd be my curveball. That'd be my wild card of like, man, if they do that, some people might be pissed, and a lot of people would just be like, huh, because nobody has talked about that. But I could definitely see that being a value pick of taking a top offensive lineman there. But unfortunately, which I rarely do on the show, I'm going to agree with you. I think we should take Derek Brown here at number 6 overall.
I'm glad you went with that.
All right. Derek Brown is the pick. We'll go ahead and let this go through. Now, Grifka, we've got picks 35 and 37. We can really do some damage here in the 2nd round depending on who's available. It's coming around to our pick here. I'll get to lead us off at 35. And at 35, we're looking at top players of Jonathan Taylor, Ezra Cleveland. We got A.J. Epineza is still on the board, Austin Jackson, Zach Bond, Neville Gallimore, who a lot of people like, my guy Marlon Davidson. So, just looking at the top there, I mean, if I'm coming around in the 2nd where I already got a big interior defensive lineman, my first initial thoughts are where we at with corners. So I'm going to go ahead and look at corners. Igbenogany, Terrell, Diggs, and Arnett, Dantzler, they're all still there, so quite a bit of talent there. I don't know, Grifka. Like my inclination here is to go ahead and take Epineza because of the scheme fit, because of the need for another big body edge type guy. I just feel like we have a huge void there. And then I feel like at 37 we can then go back and address corner or maybe even take an offensive player at that point. What do you think?
Yeah, that's what I was looking at as what you were thinking. I agree with you on that right there.
All right, let's go ahead and let's take Epineza then here at this pick. There's a bell for the agree, which the people love. A.J. Epineza, 35 to the Detroit Lions. 37, Grifka. We already worked through some of the options. What are you initially thinking here?
Sitting there right at the top, Jonathan Taylor. You're
going with the running back at pick 37 overall.
Yep. From all the corners that you showed, there could be a run on corners by the time we get around the 3rd, but I think we need running back help to go with Kerryon, and Jonathan Taylor fits.
Oh, Grifka. Of course, this is where we got to shout it out again. We got to have it out. Get the boxing gloves on. Grifka, I just ran down my rankings to you. There are probably 12 running backs in this draft that would help this football team. The whole key of the draft is understanding where those spots are and waiting. Like, you can get a guy in the 4th round that will add to our committee and help us instead of spending this pick at 37. I love Jonathan Taylor. You've heard me say I want to put the running game to bed, but if I'm picking here at 37, my top inclinations are, again, I'm leaning towards the outside the box pick, which I think, is something that's much more long term and also much more meat and potatoes, tough football. Getting a mover, a rising talent like Ezra Cleveland, good feet out of Boise State, offensive tackle, or go ahead and taking the corner here because I don't know that you're going to love the options in round 3. You're going to be hoping to goodness that your boy Arnett is there, or maybe one other, a Dantzler type, and that's not going to be your best option as well. So, again, the way I've done it, I feel like offensive tackles are just completely empty after this. So if I had to advocate, I probably would advocate for Ezra Cleveland at this. Let me think about that for a second. Corners. Let me look at the corners again. Actually, I changed my mind. I'd probably go with A.J. Terrell here, cornerback out of Clemson. I just feel like he's a first-round type talent, and I feel like I can either get a tackle or an interior player in the 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th round, and then whatever I get depends on where I put Hal Vaitai, your favorite player.
Yeah, great signing.
So you can stick with your Jonathan Taylor pick, or you can change and go ahead and take A.J. Terrell, who would be my selection here.
I'm staying with Taylor.
Not surprising. All right, Jonathan Taylor is the pick at 37, running back. Now we are not going to be able to get any good value at running back because Grifka has ran the card up early just because he thinks Jonathan Taylor is a game changer, which he'd have to be a top football player to justify that based on what we can get later, but that's okay. We'll see what happens here. 67, I'll go ahead and take the wheel again here. 67, of course, we're going to first look at our corners, see what we have available. David Arnett is there. Cam Dantzler is also there, Bryce Hall, and Darnay Holmes, kind of how I have it on my bottom of my corner list. Best available, we still have Roquan Davis, but we obviously took Derek Brown. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a guy I think I would love to have in a Lions uniform. I know he had a bad college career, but he's got all the athleticism you look for, really smart. I could see him being the perfect replacement for Marvin. Cam Akers, running back I like, is there, but we already took one. And there's some defensive players that are here as well. Julian Okwara, you could team up the Okwara boys, but we already addressed the edge a little bit with Epineza. So if I have to pick here, I'm going to go ahead and just, not mess around anymore, and I would take David Arnett out of Ohio State here at pick 67 overall.
I can't debate you on that. That's a good pick.
All right. The other thing we should watch, Grifka, is these interior linemen. Since we didn't take, the Ezra Cleveland of the world, we got Robert Hunt, who I like a lot, Damian Lewis out of LSU, Muti, and then we also have your boy Bredesen and Biotish are still out there. So let's keep an eye on those guys as we move it forward. But we'll take Arnett here. We got to cover ourselves a little bit at corner before it gets too light. So David Arnett is the pick. That is in the 3rd round, pick 67. We also have another pick coming up here, Waffle Maka at 85, which you're going to be able to attack and hopefully get us a good player. 85, we are up. Peoples-Jones, Claypool, Jalen Hurts if you want to go that route. Matt Purse, the good tackle out of UConn. We've got your boy Thaddeus Moss. We've got Jordan Dye. Go ahead and tell us what you're thinking here. Tell me if you want to see a position as well.
Yeah, can you go back to those interior linemen?
Muti, Harris, Stenberg, Biotish, John Gibson I've heard a lot about recently as a good player.
I think I'm liking Biotish. I like him. I mean, Wisconsin usually produces some good offensive linemen. I would go with him.
All right, Grifka, again, I need to at least say my piece as co-GM. We're sitting here at 85 overall. Looking at the board, overall rankings, we've got people starting at 63, 65, a couple other 60s, and we get into the 80s. Your pick here would be to take an interior lineman who's basically a center, but you're going to play him at guard, even though we already have a guard from Wisconsin named Bo Benchwell in the pipeline and already knows the scheme. You're going to take Tyler Biotish here, who's 125 overall ranked here on the Draft Network. He's the fourth interior lineman down the list, but that would be your pick. So, of course, I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to go back and try to see who else may like here this is the mid to late third round. I mean, we got to get ourselves a football player here. So looking at our needs, we need interior lineman. We also need receiver. Offensive tackle is an option. So I'm going to go ahead. I want to see the tackles again. So the only tackles I like pretty much at this point in the draft is Pert from UConn and Sadiq Charles, LSU. After that, it gets a little dicey for me. Get a late round guy maybe. I don't love those guys. So I'm going to go back here. Linebackers I don't love. We obviously don't need a tight end. I'm not a quarterback guy at this point. Take a look at the wideouts. Grifka, you know what I'm going to do here? And you know what I'm going to do because, or at least what I'm going to suggest, because I think this is your pick to make the final. The Detroit Lions loaded up big time on defense. They went ahead and added all these Patriots, all these defenders. They left themselves wide open to add youth and explosive football players on offense for now and for the future. Grifka, I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going to take Donovan Peoples-Jones from Michigan. He jumps out of the gym, big hands, run after catch, good route runner, top recruit coming out. All he needs is a guy to get him the football. I feel like Matt Stafford's that guy. So my pick would be DPJ here.
Okay.
It's your.
That's fine.
You get the final say. It's either DPJ or your boy Biotish. You make the call.
I think, like you said before, I think he didn't have somebody throwing in the ball at Michigan that would get him the ball. I don't know. It seemed like at points he had a little trouble getting separation, but maybe they could, teach him that at Detroit. So yeah, I'll go with DPJ there. I'm always a big Michigan fan. If I didn't want you to just call me a homer.
Okay, and I like getting linemen, but I think that the Lions don't value interior positions. We already have a center. We already have some guys that can flex and play center. So, we need a guy that can replace either Marvin or Danny. I feel like this is a guy that can come in and do some things and also not be pressured. He's also the top player on the board. This is what I mean about playing the board. Grifko, we might come down to the pick in the fourth round, and either can still get, the same player that you wanted based on how this shakes out. So let's take DPJ, see what happens. Glad I convinced you again to rethink. So let's go ahead and remind the people who we have. So in the first few picks, we've taken Derek Brown, AJ Epineza, Jonathan Taylor, Damon Arnett, and DPJ. Grifka, I love that, and I love it because it's balanced, too. You've got 3 defenders, 2 offensive guys, all guys that I think are good overall football players. I really like the value that we're getting. And like I said, we could have waited on receiver, too, because it's so deep. That could have been an option. I was tempted to take the offensive tackle, but I didn't. So here we are at 109. I'll take the lead on this pick. Van Jefferson, he's a receiver out of Florida I really like. We've got, let's see what else is here. KJ Hill, another receiver. Bradley and Nye, the edge out of Utah. And some other receivers. Kenny Willekes from Michigan State got a lot of buzz. I heard the guy from the Senior Bowl say Kenny Willekes is the hardest working player in all of college football. And he showed that at the Senior Bowl. Your boy Biotish is still quite a ways down the list. Grifka here in the 4th round. Maybe there in the 5th. So my selection here would probably be, again, I feel like we're really empty at edge. So I'm probably going to add Bradley and Nye here, the edge out of Utah.
That's a good pick right there.
You want to turn that in?
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right. So we got a 9 in the 4th round. That gives us now Epineza, Flowers, Anai, Aquara, and moving Deshaun Hand out to the edge if you want to do that to rush as well. Much more depth, versatility, and different type bodies out there that I think the Lions need to consider. Now here we come around in the 5th round. We're gonna have 3 picks in this round, Grifka. 51, 149, 151, and then 166. So we can do some crazy damage here in the 5th round. Go ahead and make your advise on who you would take here, or what positions you like, or what are you thinking?
Go to your interior O-line again. Looks like there was a big rush on those guys.
Yeah, your boy went, the boy out of Michigan, whose name I will not try to pronounce again, is there, and then it gets a little dicey. You got Kinley down the list from Georgia, who I've heard some things about, and yeah, that's about it. Your boy Darrell Williams way down the list.
Is it too early to take a punter? No, just kidding. Just kidding. Not interested in that.
We got to keep him on our list, though. We need a damn punter.
Yeah, what do the safeties look like?
Julian Blackman out of Utah, decent player, but after that it's a little dicey. I like Tanner Muse a lot from Clemson, but I think you could wait on him. He's a white safety, I think, which I never like, but he can run and hit and probably be a good special teamer. But yeah, he's quite a ways down the list, and we're pretty much set at safety.
Okay, well let's take a look at the linebackers. I know we haven't looked at them and they signed a bunch, but let's see what's sitting there.
Not a ton. I mean, David Woodyard, I've heard some things about. We've got Shaq Quarterman there, who basically is a new Jared Davis type. Jacob Phillips out of LSU is kind of eh. And then, after that, you're looking at special team type guys.
And what's your offensive tackles look like?
Charlie Heck out of North Carolina, I've heard some things about. That's about it. John Runyon, but you don't have to take him anywhere in this spot.
Yeah, you're right. Let's go back to safety. Let's run with Blackman. They're out of Utah.
Okay, that's your advised selection. Now your co-commish is going to obviously not like that pick because we already are full at safety. Not only did we have 3 or 4 top guys, but we have some guys that back up and play. So I feel like that would be a cut. If you look at the overall list, my boy Tyler Johnson out of Minnesota is there. James Prochet out of SMU is there if we want to double dip on receiver. James Lynch out of Baylor is a heck of a hustle-type football player, just a down nasty kind of guy that I think Matt Patricia might like. Anthony Gordon's a quarterback prospect that I feel the Lions have talked about, and he's been talked about a lot by people. Or we haven't addressed that interior. So if you're set on Hal Vaitai, I'd probably go with the guy out of Michigan here, just because there's nobody left after that. My pick here, my advisement would be to where are we at in the 5th round? There's all those receivers left, so I'd probably wait. Gosh, Anthony Jennings, too, might be a decent value here. Duvernay is at the top of the board. Gosh. Based on value, I feel like I want to say take the quarterback because he could just kind of learn under the other 2 guys and it'd be the best value, but if I'm just building on needs and stuff, and if they don't feel like interior, no, I'd say screw it. Even though we already took DPJ, I'd probably go for another one of my favorites in the draft and just take Tyler Johnson here. I really like what he can do. So in that scenario, DPJ would be my replacement for Marvin, and Tyler Johnson would sort of learn under Danny and sort of be that move around inside guy moving forward. So Tyler Johnson out of Minnesota would be my pick here.
Okay, I like the safety.
All right, that's a mistake, but okay. Julian Blackman, 166 overall, safety out of Utah. Take him. I get the pick here at 151. Probably go back and get my guy. I will. I'll go ahead and take Tyler Johnson here. Grifka, I think our best scenario is to take Tyler Johnson here. That gives us plenty of receivers. Duvernay just went to the Giants right after you selected. So we could still wait it out a little bit on receiver, but I think we go ahead and take him.
You don't like Crochet?
I like him. I don't like him as much as Tyler Johnson overall. I mean, I think they're kind of together to some degree, but Tyler Johnson to me is more productive. I've seen a lot about him. He's a really good kid, came from a tough spot. I don't think you'd ever have to worry about him. He's going to be a hard worker. I'd say we take him, and then how about, how do you say Michael's name from Michigan? What's that last name? I can't even remember how they say it. Wenu?
Yeah, I thought it was a Menahue. Winahue or something like that.
All right. I think we should try to take him. But again, the Lions might be set on interior. So we went and took Tyler Johnson, wide receiver out of Minnesota at 151. Go ahead and pick again here at 166. I think that's the pick that we got from, oh, nope, that would be. Now, one thing you'll notice, people in the draft, is like, you know, there's one pick. I don't know, it's like 154 I have in the 5th round. It's the 8th overall pick for the Cardinals. I have that down as a voided pick. I think they got that taken away for some violation of sorts. So sometimes you'll see like the Lions as 167 or 166. It's because some people count that voided pick and some don't. So here on the Draft Network, they have us at 166, where I have it as more 167. But nevertheless, Grifka, you see the list. You're taking the lead here. Let's see, did our guy go? Yep, he did go. So that's a part of the draft where we could have taken him and waited out on receivers. And Anthony Gordon, the quarterback prospect I mentioned, just went as well. So we've got our receivers. Let's see, yep. So your Prochet went 2 picks after I took Tyler Johnson. So anyway, we're sitting here and we've got this pick, a 6th rounder and a 7th rounder. So where do you want to go?
Gosh. And we're at 166. I don't want another running back.
I'm just showing you because I wanted to see Joshua Kelly, Vaughn, Patrick Taylor, Alana Lua, DJ Dallas, Darius Anderson. All those guys to me could come in and at least be part of the help. But like I said, I'm with you that if you could get Jonathan Taylor and he's a beast, I'm not going to hate it. That's for sure.
Yeah, let's try. Let's go with Shaq Quarterman here.
There's Harrison Bryant. You know you love tight ends, Griffey. He's the top guy on the board. He could be another move player.
I thought about it. I kind of did, actually. I'm like, well, Harrison Bryant's there, you know, and they got Logan Thomas. But I don't know. I think they might want to try to give Nada a look since, you know, he did have the best hands in the draft last year. So I'll just see if they can use him this year.
Explain to me, Grifka Shaq Quarterman, because all you do on the Koolaid Cast come in and hate on Jared Davis. You talk about guys that, you know, can't process, you know, just miss the gaps. They run really fast. They hit really hard, but they always miss. I mean, Quarterman's the same type of player, even though he's from Me on Me, which we love, and he's a big physical beast. You can be saying the same thing in a year or two, and where is he even going to fit? I mean, you're going to put him in front of Christian Jones. You're going to put him to replace Jared Davis. Like, I don't understand where this guy's going to make the team or help us.
I like his speed. I mean, he's got to be faster than most of those linebackers on that team.
But all you do is complain about Jared Davis being fast, but it doesn't matter, does it? Jared Davis is fast as hell. You hate on him every week.
Yeah. I mean, so give a new guy a chance. I know what Jared Davis is. He's a dog chasing a car. So, I mean. All
right. Well, I'm not even going to fight Griff, so we'll just take him. I probably would have taken the tight end or another offensive type player here to help that side of the football, but we'll just take Shaq Quarterman because I'm out of breath and I can't argue every pick with this guy. Coming around to 182, I'll get the selection. Here in the 6th round, I mean, this is where you're completely kind of throwing darts at a wall, but I'm going to go ahead and let me see who's best available. That's where I always start, Grifka. So we took our running back. We've got some interior players up top, but nobody that I love. Gandy Golden is there, but we've taken 2 receivers, so it'd be overkill to do that. It's a good good option though of waiting. Same with you taking your safety. We could have still got Tanner Muse here, and I think he's a better football player. But nevertheless, Francis Bernard is the linebacker that they seem to like at the Senior Bowl, so that could be an option as well. And Kinley, the interior guy out of Georgia, is here as well. All right. Look back at our needs for a second. Just interior, quarterback, offensive tackle. No quarterbacks that really interest me. Cole McDonald out of Hawaii is kind of interesting, to be honest, but I'd probably pass.
You don't like Shea Patterson?
I do. I don't know if you saw it, but I got a ton of heat on Twitter for making him my 7th round pick, and I knew people were going to hate it, and I'm like, Matt Patricia seemed to have a lot of talks with him at the Senior Bowl, and to me, Shea Patterson's the kind of guy you could bring in. He's no nonsense. He'll sit there and hold a clipboard. Yes, sir. No, sir. He'll be able to come in a pinch and run around or make a few plays. And maybe his accuracy could be better if he got some legit coaching and whatnot. So I wasn't, hating it, but a lot of people said, I love the draft except you can't take Shea Patterson.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I get it, but, to me, it seems like decent value at your last pick of the draft, but we'll see where he goes. I'm interested to see if or where he goes. All right, somewhat stalling here because I'm looking. Charlie Heck is still there, who I do like. I don't know much about Tyree Phillips or Kyle Murphy. They're high on the list at interior positions. Keyshawn Vaughn's got some juice. He's talented. All right. The people are gonna hate it, but I'd go ahead and take Keyshawn Vaughn here just to add. You spent a high resource, but I'm thinking Keyshawn Vaughn can almost come in and be better than, push either Ty Johnson or be better than, some of the other gadget guys we've had. So I'd probably just bring him in and say, all right, between those 4, they're going to be able to actually run the football.
What don't you like about Javaris Davis? The corner out of Auburn.
I don't know. I'm not against adding another corner. Let me see who else. Lamar Jackson, I don't mind him. You got Miles Bryant, who I've heard a little about. I think he's kind of a tiny guy. AJ Green, Lavert Hill. I wouldn't mind adding a corner here if you think that's a better option. I don't know much about Davis. He's not really on my radar, but he is the top-rated corner right now.
Yeah, me, I always like those guys like that late. Some click, a lot don't, but I think it's better than adding another running back to the stable of running backs they already got there. That's just me.
Got to be able to run the ball, man. It's been too damn long. We haven't been able to do it. I'll throw you a bone, though. We're in the 6th round, Grifka. We'll go ahead and take this corner out of Auburn. Take your word on it and add another body there. I think people are really sleeping on AO, though. I think he's been written off. I loved him in college. He was long. He would go out and man up on the best player. He could tackle. He could do a lot of things. And when he got on the field for the Lions, he did exactly that. He got after the football. He didn't look lost. Yeah, he had a couple times he got burned, but that's going to happen. I don't think he's getting enough love as a guy that can really play out there and be, a top 3 corner on this football team for the long haul, not just for the near future. So, Grifka, I hate to tell you what to do here at 7th, but I think we got to get our punter, man.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay. He's down in the 300s here, but I think, despite the other values, we don't have anybody there. There's nobody really can go get. I would say that you can probably go get a punter any day of the week, but I say we go with Braden Mann, the punter out of Texas A&M. Yep.
That's once I saw his name there. I mean, punter isn't one of the positions you can just pull up, see best available.
It was so weird. So like every time I do a mock, I would go type in man at the top in the late rounds, either 6th or 7th round, and take him. And every time the draft would lock up, And so finally somebody told me on Twitter you have to actually go down and pick him manually, and then it doesn't lock, because I lost like literally 6 mocks because I thought the first couple times it was just a glitch in the system, and then the other times I thought maybe I could get away with it because I had told the Draft Network about it, and it kept doing it. And so that's the workaround for anybody out there that wants to figure that out. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this, Grifka, for old time's sake. So we got a 7-round mock on 4/21/20. We traded with Los Angeles Chargers, and this is the DKC podcast mock. So we'll have to send this out so people can dissect it, probably hate on us for it, hopefully give us some love. But let's take a quick look at what we did. This was the co-commish Grifka and Okrie mock, and our picks were Derek Brown at number 6 overall after trading down. We got AJ Epineza at 35 overall, the edge out of Iowa. 37 overall, we got Jonathan Taylor, the big speed back out of Wisconsin. 67 overall, we got Damon Arnett, the cornerback out of Ohio State. 85 overall, we got Donovan Peoples-Jones, wide receiver, Michigan. 109 overall, we got Bradley Anae, the edge out of Utah. 149, we got Julian Blackman, safety out of Utah. 151 overall, Tyler Johnson, wide receiver, Minnesota. 166 overall, Shaq Quarterman, linebacker, Miami. 182 overall, we got a corner, Javarius Davis out of Auburn. And 235 in the 7th round, our new punter, thank goodness, no more Sam Martin. I'm not going to go on a rant, but you guys know what I thought about Sam Martin. Braden Mann, the punter out of Texas A&M. 1, 2, 3,
Jeez,
4, 5.
We love ourselves some Big Ten, don't we?
Walked away with 11 football players. What do you think overall, Grifka?
I like that. I think we covered a lot of needs that the Lions need, and I think Brown can be an instant starter. I mean, that's what you'd want him for. I know they signed a couple defensive linemen, but still, and Epineza could get plugged in right there. Jonathan Taylor, he could be the 1 or maybe 1A. So Arnett, he would have to compete at this point. Peoples-Jones is going to be playing, learning from a couple good wide receivers. Anae, he could be another one of those guys that could actually, as he gets more playing time, say, one of those sleepy ends that, don't get a whole lot of pub early, but then they get a few years under the belt and they become a little more dominant, and then they really show up. He could be that guy. Shaq Quarterman could, outrun Jared Davis and maybe make some tackles.
Yeah, I think we did well here. I mean, we had a few arguments which I knew would happen. I changed your mind a couple times, and I also gave up a couple times because I can only fight with you so much here on the show. But yeah, I thought it's a good draft overall. I'd be happy, and pretty much everybody that's listening knows. Don't expect any of this to happen on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. I bet you maybe one of these names, if that, will get picked by the Lions. None of the others will be selected. That's how it works every year. But it's fun for us to do it here on the show. I know everybody loves a good mock draft. So speaking of, Grifka, let's end the show with this. Are you ready for the Okrie first round mock I've picked for all 32 teams? This is subject to change, but are you ready to hear who I think will be selected? And this is with no trades considered. This is with if they stick and pick who I think is going to be picked by each team in the first round.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to this.
All right, we are going to breeze through this, and I'm going to ask you after 10 picks if you'd like to give some criticism, constructive criticism. If you'd like to bash me, if you'd like to praise a few of the picks, you can go ahead. Okay, so we are going to tackle this right now, Grifka. With the first pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Joseph Burrow out of LSU, quarterback. Number 2, the Washington Redskins take Chase Young. At number 3, I have the Detroit Lions taking Derek Brown, interior defensive tackle out of Auburn. At number 4, Jedrick Wills, tackle out of Alabama. At number 5, the Dolphins get their quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. Number 6, we have Justin Herbert, quarterback, Oregon. Number 7, Isaiah Simmons, the hometown boy, goes to the Carolina Panthers. We have at number 8, Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle, Iowa. Number 9, we have Jeffrey Okudah, the cornerback out of Ohio State. And number 10, everybody and their brother knows the dang Cleveland Browns need a tackle, and they don't care about character or about a big sloppy athlete, so they're going to take Mekhi Becton, who I think is going to be a beast at the next level. They get a nice value there, number 10 overall. Grifka, what do you think?
Simmons going to Carolina. It's like, wow. That's wow.
Grifka,
I really like him, but it's like one of those things when he's a bust.
Hold on.
I know I'm gonna be, I always thought he sucked. I never won.
Well, Grifka, did you just say wow?
Yes.
Wow.
Bring back the old classic.
Wow.
Or we could always appease Frank Ribble, who I'm sure is listening to the show.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Any other wow picks there, Grifka, that you like there in the first round?
No, I mean it sounds like chalk, and like I'm sorry, Becton's going to a team with a crappy quarterback. So.
What, Grifka? You don't like Baker Mayfield? Is that what you're trying to say?
Oh yeah, he's awesome. He's great. I'm like, that's Baker Mayfield right there, Baker. Yeah. I just want to let you know he sucks. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Mark it down.
There you go. We haven't fit that in a few shows. I know that would make you happy. I should have played it after I gave you that intro where you're the Baker Mayfield hater. But hey, Grifka, we're gonna move to through pick 20 here, but let's spice it up. Let's get some music going. Oh yeah, everybody knows that's the mock draft music. I mean, when you're making picks, you gotta have this and this. Grifka with number 11, the New York Jets select C.D. Lamb, my top receiver out of Oklahoma. The Oakland Raiders select Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver, Alabama. With the 13th pick, the San Francisco 49ers select C.J. Henderson to replace old man Richard Sherman and to do some work. We have Andrew Thomas protecting Tom Brady and all the other skill players there in Tampa Bay. Number 15, the Denver Broncos select Henry Ruggs III, the speedster that they want and covet. At number 16, the Atlanta Falcons select Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle. We've got the Dallas Cowboys. Chuck, this is for you. You don't even need a magazine. Clavion Chason, edge out of LSU. At 18, the Miami Dolphins select DeAndre Swift, running back, Georgia. Number 19, the I think I said Oakland earlier. The Vegas Raiders select Patrick Queen, linebacker, LSU. And at number 20, the Jaguars waited out and they get an actual quarterback that's not named Gardner Minshew, and they get Jordan Love, the freaky athlete, the absolute crazy thrower of the football from Utah. Grifka, are you there?
Yeah, I thought you were going. I didn't realize you were stopping. But yeah, I like Jordan Love. I think in the right system, he could be probably one of the. I think he could be maybe the best quarterback in this draft.
We will see what happens. Grifka, I'm going to pull this music down because we've got to keep this. We've got to change it up for the people. And there's no better music other than that music. I mean, I know that's draft music, but, I mean, does it get much better than this, Grifka? To finish out the draft, the prime time music, baby. It does not get any better. Let me pull this down a little bit so people can hear these incredible selections that I have. Grifka with the 21st pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. The Philadelphia Eagles get the receiver that everybody knows they will take, and the best on the board is Justin Jefferson out of LSU. At number 22, our hated Minnesota Vikings select Kenneth Murray, linebacker, Oklahoma. The 23rd pick, the highest the Patriots have been picking in years. They go ahead and take Zach Bond, Wisconsin. At number 24, the New Orleans Saints select Jalen Johnson, cornerback out of Utah, late riser. At 25, which annoys me that the Vikings are picking again, they get Jeff Gladney, one of my draft favorites, out of TCU, cornerback. At number 26, the Miami Dolphins add to their pot of gold again, and they take Xavier McKinney, safety, out of Alabama. Number 27, the Seattle Seahawks select defensive end Yetur Gross-Matos from Penn State. At number 28, the Baltimore Ravens select Joshua Jones, big, athletic offensive tackle. Number 29, the Tennessee Titans, who are like the Patriots, who are like the Lions, go ahead and take a perfect scheme fit, A.J. Epineza, defensive end, Iowa. Number 30, the even more hated Green Bay Packers, those sons of you-know-whats, those cheddarheads, those mozzarella sticks, select a player that does not fit the up north, but is a guy they will probably take because they just love trying to get skill players for that bum-playing quarterback. Denzel Mims, wide receiver, Baylor. At number 31, the San Francisco 49ers again select, and they take Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan, center, interior, offensive guard. And at number 32, as much as I wanted to give the Kansas City Chiefs another ridiculous skill player, I gave them cornerback from Alabama, can play the football and can add to their coverage because everybody knows they can already put up 40 every day of the week. Trayvon Diggs out of Alabama to finish out the first round. Grifka, I'm out of breath. What do you think?
Hey, Minnesota, never take an Oklahoma linebacker.
Except when he's Kenneth Murray, and he'll probably be a thorn in our ass for the next decade.
Well, maybe just against the Lions, but I mean, I don't like Oklahoma linebackers.
Everybody that's lazy boy scouting at its finest, probably a couple linebackers from 2 decades ago,
Name the last good one.
Were bad, and Grifka now says they can't. None of them can play, which makes no sense.
Name the last good one. There you go. You can't.
That just makes no sense on any level. Grifka, any other big gripe?
Teddy Lehman? Teddy Lehman? Oh, I forgot all about Teddy Lehman.
Teddy Lehman has no impact on Kenneth Murray. Let's not get into that again.
It's all about scheme, buddy.
Oh, my God. Grifka, any other big gripes or any things you love? You haven't given me any credit for this mock.
No, I mean, I like a lot of your picks. I think San Francisco may take a wide receiver, though, if one's sitting over there as opposed to Ruiz. So.
Yep, I could see a receiver going there. Let me go ahead. We'll pull our music down, Grifka. Fun to get some old classic music in there and to work our way through those picks. But, man, Grifka, we have had quite the show. We have talked news and notes. Everybody's got my general prospect player rankings by position. We did a full 7-round mock where me and you were co-commissions, which we both know would never work in real life. We would not be a cohesive unit there in the front office. And you got to hear the Okrie first-round mock as it sits today. Again, it could change before we get to Thursday. Not accounting for trades, just player and team. Grifka, it seems appropriate to ask you one final question. Grifka, do you have anything else for the people?
Nope.
Wow.
I figured I'd hit you with a wow and a couple of these on the way out. Everybody, what a great week, draft week. We had a really fun show. We are going to try some different things. We're going to try to come back. And I don't know, we're going to try to do a Friday morning show where we recap that round one. Me and Griff are going to try to jump on, do a podcast, get it out to you probably in the morning, maybe right around lunchtime, whatever it may be. And then hopefully either myself and other people, possibly Griffco, will be back on after day 2 and 3. Possibly doing a roundtable as well where we might get Logan and a few other guests to talk about this draft when it's all said and done. So lots to do. Keep your ears on the Detroit Koolaid Cast as well as my other podcast, which is called Believe, BLEAV in Lions. The Believe in Lions podcast drops every Monday, and there may be some bonus shows on that feed as well. So find that on your favorite podcast platform. Hit subscribe. Please share this podcast with a friend, and we really appreciate everybody listening. The Lions will hopefully nail this draft. We'll have a lot to talk about when it's all said and done. For now, we are said and done. Take care, everybody. We're out.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.